Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here on our Facebook fan page for Star Nations organization. Thank you so much for being with me this afternoon for the Spiritual Roundtable. This live stream is really, we're calling it a spiritual talk show. Why? Because we have a good conversation here. That's why. All about spirit and in the sense of spirit. And the conversation is all based on the divination cards that I draw in the morning. It actually helps us to get an insight into what's most important for us to know about today for the energy that's flowing for our highest good, right? And it is also very helpful for our soul growth too. I also ask my spiritual team to help us to have the information provided in a way that we have an insight, right? One of those aha moments, or when we connect the dots together and we can start seeing a little bit clearer, more pictures, right? Yeah. So welcome. Today is Tuesday, August 6th. And I always call Tuesday here at Star Nations Terrific Tuesday because we have so many shows for you on Tuesday. We actually have 3 shows for you today. One already occurred. Polly Jo LeBay's show, Chakra Sessions, was on at noon Eastern time, and I hope you caught that one because holy smokes, there was some good information about being an empath and what you can do to help yourself to remove other people's emotions and feelings from your auric field, from you. It was good. It was really, really good. I got to produce that show today. And then we have this show, right? And then we also have my evening show later this evening, Communications from Home. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get started. I am going to take my phone, and we're calling it sprinkling. We're sending the live stream over to my newsfeed and to the couple of Star Nations closed groups, right? But I also invite you to do the same thing, right? I invite you to share, even if you share it with one friend. Sometimes that's all we need to do because maybe that one friend was really looking for some information to help them along their way, right? So I'm going to find our live stream. It's here. Got to scroll a little bit. Here we go. I'm a lovin' and I am going to share it over to my newsfeed. See, I said that S word again. I don't know. It's a hard habit to break. All right, so I'm just going to let my friends know that I'm live streaming. There we go. And then I'll ask them if they can join us. And then we'll post that. It doesn't take long. Just a momentary pause. All right, and so then I'm going to also send it over to Star Nation's live stream shows closed group, and remind the peeps that I'm live streaming. There we go, and then asking them to join us. There we go. Got to put the punctuation in there. There we go. There. That'll do. That'll do just fine. I thought I turned that lamp off behind me. Hang on. I don't know. Maybe there's something up with that lamp. Did you see that? It's on a smart plug, and so I can turn it on and off with my iPhone. And Paul actually put that up for me for like in the winter time when I'm up here in the evening doing evening shows. I can turn off the lights and not have to be in the dark, And so I can turn it on and it's dark and I'm up here and the lights are on then, or if I leave, I can turn the light off when I get home. So yeah, It works out really good, except for when it turns itself on. I don't understand that. I try not to. Let's see who's in the house today. Oh, Rob's here. Hello, Rob. That's not the S word. It's one of them. It's one of them that I've been trying not to say, and it's hard, man. It's hard. Oh, Mervin must be here. There he is. Hi, Mervin. Good to have you here. It's always good to have you in the house. And Stephanie's here too. Hey, Steph. It's good to have you here. I already shared in the groups because I kind of know that, you can't do that right now. At least one of them anyway. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to share this. This is the name of the deck that we're using, Shaman Wisdom Cards by Laida Richardson. And it has been copyrighted in 1998. This deck, in its simplicity, has really given us some pretty deep conversations about spirit. Because, when I do the card draw in the morning, I'm asking my spiritual team to show me the energy that's flowing today that's most important for us to know about, for our highest good, for our soul growth, and to help us have that insight, those aha moments, where we can connect the dots for ourselves and have it clarify something for us, right? Okay, so this is the deck that we're using. Shaman Wisdom Cards. We've been using it for about a month now or so. Yeah, we're going to be switching them out pretty soon. I kind of got the nudge this morning. I just, Tuesdays are really, really busy here at Star Nations. And then you add on top of it, all of the show hosts are now using Be Live's new studio, Studio 2. I've been using it for about 3 weeks now. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with it than I was 3 weeks ago, that's for sure. And so I'm helping the other show hosts as they begin to use the new studio. All the mechanics, all the buttons and what to click where and where to find that kind of stuff. And so we add that on top of a busy week. And yeah, my house is a little bit like Grand Central Station this morning. Here's the first card. We've had this one before. Cherry. It's about feminine, the divine feminine, the energy of the north, the planet Venus, and water. So we got a lot of feminine energy again here today. It's a numerology of a 6. Yeah. A lot of feminine energy with this card. We had the same thing yesterday, but I think it was which card did we have yesterday? The very first card. West. The direction of the west, and that was a lot of feminine energy with that one as well. Yeah, a big feminine energy with that one. And so today we continue that same theme with this card, Cherry. Right? And how many people like anything with cherries? I do. Dark cherries, Bing cherries, Washington cherries. Those are good. Those are really, really good. Hey, Rochelle's here too. Hello, Rochelle. She said, did not ground today. Went to PT and had another appointment at 2 while I was looking at next week. Got PT done, but not my 2 p.m. Well, take a moment and ground. You got your tools, right? Go ahead. You got your tools. Go ahead and do your grounding. You'll feel better. You'll feel better, a little bit better, once you're grounded and centered, right? Yeah. And PT, physical therapy is, especially after the kind of surgery that you had, Rochelle had knee replacement. You really do need to do the therapy with that, right? So make sure that you have the full range of motion with your knee and that sort of thing. And so I know that PT can take a lot out of you too, right? It can. And so you're probably a little tired too. So if you do your grounding, you'll feel a little bit better. Okay, so here we go. This is, wait. I'm going to turn off the crawler thing. It's distracting. There we go. All right, so here is what the author has to say about cherry. I can get my camera to focus in on it. There we go. No, I thought I fixed that, and it turns out that I have to do something with Chrome in order for my camera to work properly. And I haven't had a chance to do that. Okay, so cherry. This is what the author has to say. She says, I am the sweet cherry. My bark is the medicine that soothes the throat, calms the nerves, and relieves the stress. My leaves slowly fell into your life today to let you know that love and adoration are blooming and the graceful fragrance of romance is flowing. My fruit nourishes and delights, which will carry you through any situation. I am the tree that puts you in charge. My healing action cleans, clears, and rejuvenates. I am the tree of the heart. I am the tree of the heart. Yeah. You know, my father-in-law used to have a cherry tree in their backyard, in the home where they raised, where he raised his children. My husband, and he used to had to put netting over it in order for the birds not to eat all of the cherries. So at least they'd have some of the cherries. Does anybody have any access to cherry tree? Have you ever connected to cherry tree, right? In a spiritual sense? I haven't. But I do like them. They're so pretty, especially when they're in blossom, the cherry blossoms, and they're just so pretty. And I love the fruit. But I haven't consciously made the connection to the cherry tree to see what cherry tree would have to say to me, right? Has anybody done that in the chat? Rochelle says, yes, they say I'm doing great. Range of motion is great. Yay, that's really good news, Rochelle. And I know you've worked really hard at that too. Rob says, it's better than the charge that put me in a tree. Oh, hey, Andrea's here. Hello, Andrea. Oh, you're not late. You're right on time. It's all in that divine timing, right? Rob says, I used to when I lived in Port Huron, tart cherry trees like my grandma had. Oh, those are good too, though. Those are good too, and especially to make jelly, right? Cherry pie. We have Door County here in Wisconsin. It's in the northeastern part of the state, right? It's on a peninsula, just past Green Bay, north of Green Bay. And they're very well known for their cherries over there too. And, you know, Door County cherry pie. Oh my goodness. So good. So good. Yum. Iced tea today. Rob is saying, I'm sorry, I read that one already, Rob. Madonna's here too. Hello, Madonna. Oh, it's so good to see you here. Madonna is one of our authors here at Star Nations Publishing. Her book, The Sound Weavers, was published earlier this year. And it's so good to see you in the chat, Madonna. You know, I don't know if you saw it, but Stephanie is starting to work with your book to start getting the next phase of promotion for your book out, and she took some pictures of it. And her son loves your book, and he was using the book as part of his homework one day because he's homeschooled, and so it was so good. She was taking pictures of it. Yeah. And Rob says, I don't need the temptation, but cherry brandy is also good. I don't like cherry brandy. It's too sweet. It's too sweet. Although Although, now I'm going to date myself a little bit. When I was a kid, I grew up in Wisconsin Dells, which is a kind of a touristy town, right? We would walk downtown from school for lunch. Now, it wasn't a very nutritious lunch. We had to walk by the bakery, right? And so you had to get a donut or glazed donut or something like that. And then we'd walk on to one of the two pharmacies that we had in town. We had this tiny little town. We had two pharmacies. One of the pharmacies actually had a place where you could eat, like the soda fountain. You know, they literally had the stools by the counter, and you could go in and you could order, a sundae or fountain sodas, that kind of thing. And so we would go and we'd go sit in one of the booths and we'd pull out our donuts and we'd order cherry Cokes. Now, it wasn't the cherry Coke that you get in the can, right, like you do today. No, it was a cola, a fountain cola. And what they did was they took the cherry syrup and they put that on the bottom and then filled the rest with the cola. And then you had to stir it up. Oh my God, those were so good. So good. I haven't had one of those in years. And I don't even know if that pharmacy is even still there. It wasn't Bork and Kane? I think it was Bork and Kane. Julie Shumway Hill's not in the chat today. We grew up in the same town, and so she probably would know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I got to let you guys know is that, our partners at Be Live, they're the ones that help us to be able to do some really cool stuff with our shows, like showing the comments right on the screen, which is really kind of nice. I like it. The chat that I see in the studio we can only get to so many, and it gets stuck. And I can't scroll up or down, and so I have to read your messages on my phone. So just in case, okay, you don't get to see your name up on the screen, that's why. All right, so Madonna's saying, I did see that. She shared some photos with me. I'm doing some marketing myself now. Some ideas moving forward. Thanks, Stephanie. My best to your son. Aw, that's so nice. Andrea says, grew up with cherry trees. We loved them so much. Would watch the sunset eating cherries. Oh, that sounds so good. And would sometimes get cherry belly from eating too many. That's funny. That's funny. But that sounds really good. And Rob is saying, like mixing the frozen Coke with the frozen cherry at Kmart. Why, I suppose. I've never had one of those. I suppose it's kind of like the same. But there is something really different about a fountain soda compared to one that you would just, open the bottle or the can, I know I'm dating myself, but it's okay. So this particular card, this is the first card of the draw today, cherry. And because we've had this card at least twice before. And when I was rereading the information to refresh my memory, one of the things that jumped out at me was my fruit nourishes and delights, which will carry you through any situation. Right? And so sometimes, I don't know if you guys have done this, sometimes when you're having a really challenging situation, right? And it's kind of serious. It is serious, right? Do you ever just kind of stop and just laugh? And it's almost like a nervous laugh in a way, but it's like there's nothing left you can do but laugh about the situation because you have no control over it, right? And basically, and I've done that. I've done that, and I've actually gotten a couple people angry with me because they think, well, what's so funny about that? And it's like, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. But you have to release that energy somehow, right? And so, especially when you don't have a whole lot of control over most of or any of it, and so you just have to stand back and just have a good laugh about it. And it kind of breaks it up a bit, right? But this is what came to me when I read that sentence, that nourishes and delights, which will carry you through any situation, right? because sometimes when we use a sense of humor about something, that it begins to lighten up the energy, right? And so that the energy can start flowing again. And a lot of times, because it relaxes us just a little bit, we can actually tap into our creativity, and we can start, coming up with other possibilities, right? Other possibilities. I am the tree that puts you in charge. I'm the tree that puts you in charge. So it's empowering, right? It's empowering. And maybe it's because it is a very feminine tree and it's very nurturing, right? That we're able to tap into our own gifts a little bit easier because we feel that nurturing energy, right? Yeah, it's kind of like a cheerleading kind of thing, Oh, you can do it. You can do it. Of course you can do it. You're so loved. You're a divine child, right? She also says, my healing action cleans, clears, and rejuvenates. I am the heart. I'm the tree. I am the tree of the heart. I am the tree of the heart. Because when look at the conversation we've already had about cherry and the different memories that it brought up from our childhood, from things like food and drink and that sort of thing, and it was all light-hearted. It was all more of a positive memories, right? Sweet memories, literally in my case. Literally. Yeah. And so, cherry is basically letting us know that we can tap into that sacred feminine energy. That sweetness, right? In the north, the direction of the north carries the divine feminine energy. And it's also a place of the elders, the place of the elders, the elder energy. So let's look at that from this cherry point of view with an elder, right? Because in many cultures, an elder, a grandmother, right? We have a certain stereotype, a certain archetype is probably a better way to say that, of what a grandmother is, right? Grandmother is nurturing, right? Loves you unconditionally. That's an archetype. Of course, a lot of us grew up with grandmothers that were pretty stern and kind of laid down the boundaries of stuff, right? But what my mom used to say about her role as a grandmother is that you got to be different with your grandchildren than what you were with your children, right? That they were much more relaxed with the grandchildren, that's for sure. My nieces and nephews, man, they had so much latitude, more latitude than me and my brothers ever had. And it's almost like you look at your parents and think, what happened to you? You became a grandparent. What happened? They're much more flexible and forgiving and that sort of thing. So the archetype of a grandmother elder, what kind of, what does that bring up for you? The imagery for that, a grandmother elder, in a kind of in a positive, kind of sweet way, right? Going along with the cherries would be like Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus, Santa Claus's wife, right? Kind of like that. Hey, Jocelyn's here too. Hi, Jocelyn. Madonna is saying, interesting, every home I've ever lived in has faced north. I made that connection a few years ago. Yeah. And so for me, the north, when I call to the direction of the north, it's about balance, stability, and wisdom. And when I call to the north, I ask that we have balance and stability in whatever it is that we're doing, and that we recognize the wisdom, our own wisdom, and the wisdom of each other, right? Because we all have it. We've all had life lessons. We've all made our way through many of our life lessons, where we gain some knowledge, but more importantly, we gain the wisdom. Because then when we start to apply the knowledge, that's the wisdom. And so, yeah, the direction of the north. Direction of the north. Hey, Maggie's here too. Hi, Maggie. Good to have you here. All right, so for those who just showed up, this is the first card, Cherry, Feminine, North, Venus, and Water. So it's a very feminine card, very feminine information. You know, planet Venus, right? Talk about an archetype of femininity. And water. Water is about emotion, the symbol of emotion, and it carries the divine feminine energy, right? Water takes on the shape of any container that it's put in. We always talk about being in the flow, and we always use the analogy, right, of a river or a stream, rather than trying to swim against the current. You know, turn over on your back and float with the current. Go with the flow. It takes a lot less energy, and you have a lot more fun than trying to work your way back upstream, swimming against the current. Okay. Now, in one of the other decks that we used, I think it was Angels and Ancestors, Kyle Gray's deck. There was a card in there that talked about alchemy, and it was talking about the River Boyne over in Ireland. This is why I remember this one, because it was the River Boyne. That on a river, there is the current that we talk about being in the flow, right? But there's also another current that goes in the opposite direction. And it is right underneath the current that's going with the flow. And so this is where the ancestors knew about it, but also magicians knew about it. And magicians are really shamans, holy people, right? They knew about the magic, right? That they could find the alternate flow, and they could actually get into that flow and go in the opposite direction. That's kind of cool. It's kind of like opening up a portal, I think. All right, so got to look at the time. So this is a very feminine message. And I really believe that this particular message today coming from Cherry has a lot to do with those sweet memories. That Cherry brings a sweetness to our life. It can be very nourishing, nurturing, and it tastes so good. The sweetness of life, right? The sweetness of life. And if we find ourselves in the flow of the energy, that we're going with the flow, that we get to use our energy much differently. We're not using it to struggle upstream, right? And that is part of being the divine feminine, really, is that, you know, we get into the flow and we find, search, sense, and feel other possibilities that are within the flow rather than going against the current. I think it frees up our energy to be more creative. That's what I think. I am the tree of the heart. Cherry. All right. Now, the next card, the second card, I have to get to it. We haven't had this one yet. So we're all going to experience this one brand new together. Number 44 in the deck. Out of 65 cards, this is the 44th card, right? And it's Basswood. Again, feminine, energy of the West, the planet Saturn and Earth. Another very feminine card, but this one has balance to it. Saturn brings the divine masculine energy to this one. Right? Yeah, and basswood, I don't know a heck of a lot about basswood, but I do know is that basswood is a soft wood, and so it's very easy to carve into different shapes, right? Basswood. Does anybody have any connection to basswood in the live chat? Basswood. Another divine feminine energy card. Because the energy of the West is feminine. The Earth is feminine. Saturn is the divine masculine. And I really like the shape of that leaf. Basswood. Maggie, I'm not sure what you mean. And lost some hide. Question mark. I'm not sure. Could you put a little bit more information there for me to understand? That would be nice. Madonna says, Neshi, which card deck is this? I like it. It's called the Shaman Wisdom Cards. Shaman Wisdom Cards by Laida Richardson. See if I can get that into focus for you. Laida Richardson. It was published in 1998. And as I was doing some research about the deck, because I haven't used it in a really long time, the publishers, U.S. Game Systems out of Connecticut, you can go to their website and you'll find the cards there. If you go to someplace like Amazon.com, you'll find them, but it's very expensive. It's very expensive. So I found that if you go to the publisher directly, and let me tell you, they had a whole bunch of decks of cards there that I really liked. A goddess deck that I think I'm going to get. Yeah. So I'm going to hold that up there if you want to take a screenshot or if you want to write it down. Shaman Wisdom cards. They're the artwork is very simple, right? The words or the message on the cards is very simple. What I found is that this deck is really an opportunity for us to use our own intuition, to do that stretch into it, right? And see where the energy leads us. Yeah, I like it too. Okay, so Basswood. Basswood. The author says, I am Basswood. I am the false face mask of the Iroquois tobacco ceremony. I'm going to say that again. I am the false face mask of the Iroquois tobacco ceremony. When you put on the mask, you lose your identity and become whatever the mask represents. You are no longer the person, you are the spirit. The mask also signifies that you might be escaping reality and hiding from the truth. Remove that mask and come face to face with your life. I am the tree spirit. I am protection. Yeah. Try to get it into focus again. There we go. Number 44 in the deck. It's used to carve the mask in the Iroquois tobacco ceremony. So when we have a mask on, in whether it's a literal, like in the ceremony, and what they're saying is the person who is wearing the mask in the tobacco ceremony, their personality, their two-legged humanness drops away, right? It's almost like channeling in a way, because that your personality self, your conscious self, steps to the side, right? So that the spirit can come through. And so the same premise is with the mask, is that when you put the mask on in that Iroquois ceremony, is that the personality dissolves, steps aside, so that the mask, the spirit within the mask, can come through, right? Some would probably use the word animated, because the person's spirit is allowing that channeling to come through, to be the spirit. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's kind of like when we do, in the shamanic sense, when we do trance dancing, when we connect to one of our power animals and allow that animal to come through, and we dance the animal, right? So the animal is our personality self, kind of slides to the left or the right to make room for the spirit of the animal to come in, and so that we can become that spirit. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Stephanie, for putting the link in there to Amazon, to the cards. Thank you so much. She's also saying that, she also put in our live stream over at YouTube, I believe it is. Okay. Jocelyn's saying, wouldn't it be infinity or numerology? Wouldn't it be infinity for numerology? Well, 44 is a master number. 44 is a master number. So you wouldn't necessarily break that down, right? It carries the energy of the fours twice. But I'm going to look up 44. Hang on. I don't know if this one will actually take me up to that. Wait, it might. No, I was looking at decals. We'd have to look at the number 8. Yeah, the 8 would be like the sign of infinity. For the personality of an 8, it's about being efficient and handling large projects, that they're realistic, self-confident, practical. The 4 is all about the earth, right? It's the 4 directions. In sacred geometry, it's about the cube, the 4-sided cube. And I got to move something to get to during virtues cards. I was using it to prop my mic up on. So I'll look up 44. Okay, so Doreen says about 44, because it's about angels, right? She says, many angels are with you now. You can ask these angels to help you with anything that brings peace to you and your loved ones. Don't tell the angels how to fix a situation, just ask them to fix it. The divine and infinite wisdom of the Creator guides you through the angels to a wonderfully ingenious solution. So it really is about the angels coming in to do a correction for you. And so if we added those numbers together to get the 8, right? It's about financial abundance. And for us, it's about the sign of infinity, right? The balance of giving and receiving. And so really that is like the base of it. Okay. I'm not going to put my mic back on it just in case we need it again. All right. Which is true, Rob. That's true. He says infinity is not a number, it's a concept. That's true, but it's the symbol that we're talking about. And the symbol looks like an 8 on its side, right? That's what we're talking about. Andrea, good for you, Andrea. She says, I just Googled basswood. Looks like it's the same tree as the linden trees we have out west. I have a baby volunteer linden tree I feel very connected to. Oh, that's really good. Okay. Nellie says, care needs to be taken if anybody wants to try working with masks of any kind. Without proper care, you could lose yourself to such an extent that you may not completely return to your body. Masks are very powerful. Yes, they are. And thank you for adding that, Mervyn. Because, okay, how to explain this? When you're creating a mask, it's much like doing a drum in a way. There's a spirit that resides within that mask, right? So you are literally co-creating, you're giving birth to this. And so when you have a mask, when you're even buying them, you have to really know about who made the mask, what does it stand for, how was it used, what was it intended for, before you even bring it into your home. Okay. And I know that we're talking about carved masks here, right? Yeah. But there's also all kinds of masks out there. I mean, I'm thinking about masquerade balls, right? There's a reason why people would go to those balls to wear those masks, is because they could drop their own inhibitions, their shyness or whatever that was, to be somebody else, right? And it can get kind of addictive. Yeah. So thank you for adding that, Mervyn. I appreciate that. Rob says, sad thing is we put these on before we know the dangers. We only learn this by undergoing the existential crisis of removing them. Well, that's true. That's true. But, there's also the fact that many of us wear masks without putting a mask on, right? We cover up our true feelings or our true self, to try to fit into something or somewhere, right? We do that all the time. It's not until you start getting older and you're thinking, I'm not doing that no more. That takes too much energy to try to keep that up. Okay. Thank you, Stephanie, for posting items from Star Nations. And Rob is also saying, I found the PDF of this deck online. Basswood speaks of removing the mask to face reality. I know. I was going to read that. Got to get to it, though. Okay. Here we go. Basswood. Here's what the author has to say. I am Basswood, right? I am the false-faced mask of the Iroquois with the tribal ceremony. The part of this that really jumped out at me was, you are no longer the person, you are the spirit. The mask also signifies that you might be escaping reality and hiding from the truth. Remove that mask and come face to face with your life. And so many times, right, in our journey, our spiritual journey here, right, is that we're healing, we're working very diligently, very consciously on healing our emotional and mental traumas, right? Clearing the debris. And when we're doing that, many times we have to, one, realize that you're wearing a mask, a facade, right? And that we have to come face to face with ourselves in order to understand what did that mask provide for us and why, to get to the root of it. So that when we take the mask off, that we're really being our true self, right? And so what is it about being your true self that scared you? There was fear there, so you put something over it, right? Yeah. Lots of healing. Rochelle says, in the veins in the basswood leaf reminds me of our lungs. I'm going to take a look at that. Let's see if we can get it in focus here. Oh, you're right, Rochelle. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that full breath, right? Robba says, truth is overrated. I like the view of my head. Oh, Maggie is saying, I put a picture of a great, powerful mask I have. Okay, I'll have to go and look at it, okay, after the show. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the two cards that came already. Got to get Cherry back out. So we have a very, very feminine card with a cherry, right? There is no masculine energy with the cherry. Basswood comes in to support the message of cherry, having some balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Saturn, which is a very large planet, is helping to balance that out. And Saturn, as Julie Hedges has told us, Saturn is the taskmaster. He's the one that says you need to get your work done before you can go out to play, right? Yeah. So Basswood is asking us to take off our mask and come face to face with our true self. And in order to do that, to be compassionate with ourselves. And perhaps it is even probably more about being more comfortable with our divine feminine energy, that side of us. Because we all have it, no matter what gender you are, we carry both of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, right? And if we are those kind of light workers, energy workers who are helping to hold that balanced energy here on earth of the divine feminine, right? That we have to recognize it in ourselves, and we have to face that part of us. Maybe we have some healing to do around it so that we can stand in that, and so that we can actually be more of a balance between the two. And before you can balance it, sometimes you have to understand the one part of you that you've been hiding, that you've been running from. Because let's face it, we all have grown up in the Western society where the masculine traits have been much more rewarded. We're supposed to be more cerebral. We're supposed to use our intellect more than our emotions. There's one saying that really makes me stop and wonder, and that is never make a decision when you're too emotional. Right? You're supposed to calm down, get your piece of paper out, and do the pros and cons, right? Before you make a decision. In other words, you have to be a little bit more masculine before you make a big decision. Yeah. I'm thinking that sometimes that works, and other times I think that we make those decisions going against our heart, going against our emotions. Okay. And so I think that this is the feeling that I have, is for us to really embrace our sacred feminine energy, to allow our mask to drop, and to consciously experience that sacred feminine aspect of ourselves. We were talking about that archetype of the grandmother, right? That grandmother elder. Yeah. Loving, compassionate, forgiving, sometimes fun. But she also knows a lot about setting boundaries too, right? Yeah. And that Saturn can actually help us with that, to get our homework done around it. Yeah, Maggie, thank you for sharing it. I will take a look at it and see if I can get it into a way that everybody can see it. Okay, I'll work on that. That picture that you sent me. Andrea saying, wow, 44 is my number and Linden is my tree. Cool, they're together on the card like that. Oh, I know. Okay, so Andrea, if you know about how to take a screenshot, I'm going to hold it up and make sure it's in focus for you. Right? And you can take the screenshot of the card. Let's see, we'll move it over a little bit so you don't have to I'm going to take my name out of there. There we go. Stephanie, if you're in the house and if you can do the screenshot for Andrea, just in case she doesn't know how to do that. Okay. There we go. And we'll get to that if you don't know how to do a screenshot. Okay. All right. I gotta look at the time. Oh my gosh. We got one more to cover. And we got to do this one. It's Nettle. Nettle. And I'm sure we're all familiar with this one. It's number 36 in the card deck. It's a 9. It's about completion. Nettle, it's masculine. Energies of the West, which is feminine. Mars, which is the planet Mars, which is masculine. And fire, which is masculine. So this is a very masculine card. It's got a little of the feminine in there from the West in order to try to bring it to balance. But you got some pretty big hitters here for the masculine energy. And how many of us have touched nettles by accident when you're weeding a garden or walking through the woods? And it's like, ow, 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 ow. Okay. But it's a very medicinal plant. There's There's a herbologist who said that if she only had one plant that she could take with her, nettles would be it, because it's so versatile and it's so helpful. That she literally, because she had some arthritis going on, and she literally took the nettle plant and kind of patted her skin with it to get yeah, it stung, but it helped relieve the pain and had the arthritis really kind of go away. Nettles. Okay. See if we can get that in focus. Nettle. Author says, I am nettle. I am purification. If properly handled, I offer strength and healing. I take the sting out of the problems of the heart. I am the tonic that keeps the flow of emotions in check. Protect yourself with the fire of the nettle. Injury may result from problems or issues that are not properly handled. So there's a lot of respect this plant deserves and expects. Right? Got to respect the nettle plant. But the one piece that really jumped out to me, I should say, in what the author has written, is that I take the sting out of problems of the heart. I take the sting out of the problems of the heart. So if we're working on consciously being aware of it, that we are facing our sacred feminine aspect of ourselves, so that we are in more balance between the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine, right? That balance really equates to the balance between your mind and your heart, your thoughts and your emotions. And so for us to truly experience our sacred feminine, I can't talk anymore, feminine side, is that we really have to consciously maybe do some healing around some issues, right? And Nettles is saying, I can help you with that. I can help you with that, to help you heal issues around your heart and your emotions, so that you can truly experience your divine femininity, right? That compassion, the empathy, the nurturing, right? So that we're in balance. All right, so you know the drill, you guys. I'm going to show all three cards. So call to your spiritual team, ask them to come to you, to be close, to help you to bring in the optimal amount of the energy or information coming from the cards that's meant specifically for you, right? You're going to take a big, deep breath in. And on the exhale, you're taking in the information that's optimal for you from the cards. That if it's in your highest good, to come face to face with your sacred feminine self, that aspect of yourself that needs some healing in order to be in balance. There's no need to run from it anymore. No need to hide from it anymore. You can take the mask off and face that aspect of you that is maybe seen as a vulnerability, a weakness. so that you can sense the true strength in that aspect of yourself, that you can stand in that. And we have so much help from Basswood and Nettles in order to do that. So we can experience that part of us that is the divine feminine. As we move closer and closer and closer to the balance between the masculine and the feminine, the mind and the heart, the thoughts and the emotions. There. It's a good one, huh? All that from Cherry. Cherry. Wow, we're at the top of the hour already, guys. That was pretty good. Andrea saying, I'm so glad I dropped in today. Was hospitalized for hypoartremia. I don't know what that is. I'm trying to regroup and need this healing message. Bless you and thanks for all you do. Oh, thank you, Andrea. I'm so glad you found it helpful. Really, I am. I'm very happy that happened for you. And that's a good segue, Andrea, is that if anything that we talked about today resonated with you, my suggestion is to embrace it, and then watch, see, sense, or feel how today's energy is unfolding around you and where this information could be helpful to you, right? And that's what this is all about. And to have this kind of conversation together, and so that we can help each other to, well, we hold the energy for each other, for number one, but we also we each bring our wisdom to the table, right? And so that we can help each other to maybe have those insights, those aha moments. Yeah, I love that. But if it didn't resonate with you, please don't worry about it. It's okay. There's tomorrow's cards that might fit you more than today's, which is all right. Yeah, and I just wanted to mention just two things before we say good night, good afternoon. I suppose for Mervyn, it would be good tonight, wouldn't it? All right, so I wanted to remind you of two things. And it evolves or revolves all around that kind of healing that we're talking about today. We have 2 weekends coming up here at Star Nations, in-person classes here, right here at Star Nations Academy, where I'm sitting right now. The first one is in October, and that is with Polly Joe. And I believe that is the first weekend. I want to say the October 5th, 6th, and 7th, something like that. I know that Stephanie has it listed in the comments, so double check those dates, okay? And so being with Polly Joe for that healing weekend, it really is about awakening to your true self. The stuff that we were talking about today, taking the mask off, right? Yeah. And doing some healing around that so that you can remember what it's like to be there, right? And so she goes through the use of our chakra systems to do that, our energy centers, more than the 7 that we're used to. And so it's a very powerful weekend. And if you're interested in that and coming to that weekend with us, you can visit our website, which is starnations.org, and you can go to the Academy page and scroll down, and you'll see that information about Polly Joe's class. Is called Awakening to Your True Self. Okay. And I have a class coming up in November. It's all about healing. It's about remembering. The Journey to Remembering is what it's called. We already have a certain aspect that's a part of us. Our ancestors passed it down to us. It's a wisdom that we already have. And that is the ability to live our lives in a balanced way from our high heart. Okay. And so that weekend is all about healing around those emotional traumas, those mental traumas, clearing away some of the debris so that you can remember what it's like to be in your heart in a balanced way. Okay. And from that position will be activating your Merkaba, and I'll teach you how to take care of your Merkaba and what it can actually do for you. Okay. So that's that weekend, and that is the weekend of November 17th, I believe. And so you can go to the website and check that one out. Okay. So we have some weekends coming up for you where we're going to be doing some pretty intensive work, healing work. Okay. So if that resonates with you, please come on over and we'll give you a hand with it. All right. So hopefully you can join me tonight for Communications from Home. It's all about the 80-20 of positivity. Where do you place your energy? Is it in the 80% of positivity, or is it in the 20% of positivity? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay. All right. 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight, Communications from Home, right here. Same fan page. We'll see you later. Okay. Thanks everybody for being with me for a spiritual roundtable and the really good spiritual conversation. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, for the spiritual roundtable. Bama Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.